I'm really trying to be a journalist of some sort here, so I had to put together my best video ever for you guys. All articles and everything I use for research will be in the description. I hope you guys like the new series. This is the most hated woman in America, Casey Anthony. As a warning, this video might be a bit touchy for some just because the unfortunate victim is so young. Now YouTube, don't strike me. There is nothing in this video against the guidelines. I worked so hard on this, and I know you manually review videos like these. This is strictly for research, education, information, and documentation services. That's it for the intro. Let's get into the video. Kaylee Marie Anthony was born to a young mother of just 18, Casey Anthony, on August 9th, 2005, and sadly left us in June of 2008 at just 3 years old. It was said by family members that she was a bright and happy little girl that brought smiles to everybody's face. On July 15th, 2008, Casey placed a 911 call and reported her daughter missing. On the phone, you can hear her tiptoeing around the last time she had seen her daughter, and finally stated that she had not seen Caylee for 31 days.
I called a little bit ago, the deputy sheriff. I found out my granddaughter has been taken. She has been missing for a month. We're talking about a 3-year-old little girl. My daughter finally admitted that the baby's in the store. I need to find her.
Your daughter admitted that the baby is where?
But the babysitter took her a month ago. My daughter's been looking for her. I told you my daughter was missing for a month. I just found her today, but I can't find my granddaughter. And she just admitted to me that she's been trying to find her herself. There's something wrong. I found my daughter's car today, and it smells like there's been a dead body in the damn car.
Okay, what is the 3-year-old's name?
Kaylee, C-A-Y-L-E-E, Anthony.
Kaylee Anthony?
Yes.
How long has she been missing for?
I have not seen her since the 7th of June.
Is your daughter there?
Yes.
Can I speak with her?
Okay, Spanish Sheriff's Department, they want to talk to you. Answer the question. Hello?
Hello?
Yes.
Can you tell me what's going on a little bit?
My daughter's been missing for the last 31 days.
Why are you calling now? Why didn't you call 31 days ago?
I've been looking for her and have gone through other resources to try to find her.
She went to parties and drank while her daughter was missing and didn't bring it up to a soul in the world. She felt free finally and wanted to live like she was, well, 22. She even got a tattoo, not of her daughter's name or anything, but one that reads Bella Vida, meaning beautiful life in Spanish. She gave the police a fake story about Caylee being kidnapped by an Afro-Latina nanny named Zenaida Fernandez Gonzalez. Zenaida was never even a nanny and later ended up suing Casey. She then took the police on a wild goose chase through her previous place of employment, Orlando Studios.
So she's not stressed, she's relaxed.
Yeah, absolutely. Casey begins waving at people who are busy at their desks working, and these people are waving back, and you can kind of tell they're confused about why we're there. And so finally we turn down a hallway and it's a dead end.
In order to cut down the time of this video so it's not 2 days long, because there's so much grime on this woman, I'm going to give you the Cliff Notes version. She said that a friend who had worked at Orlando Studios with her referred the nanny to her because it was the nanny of his kids. So that's why she ended up hiring Zanny the nanny. It turns out that this guy barely knew Casey. He didn't even have kids, and Casey never even worked at Universal Studios. She's literally a pathological liar, and a bad one at that. Because I pride myself on providing facts. The guy that she claims referred the nanny to her is Jeffrey Michael Hopkins. He never met Zenaida before. He went to middle school with Casey, and then later in life ran into her at a bar. They said their hellos and never spoke since that day. Why she made this story up, I have no idea. On July 16th, Casey was arrested. In October, Casey was charged with first-degree murder. 2 months later, a meter reader by the name of Ray Kronk, discovered Kaylee's skeletal remains in a wooded area only a quarter-mile away from Casey's home.
I'm here to inform you that the skeletal remains found on December 11th are those of the missing toddler, Kaylee Anthony.
As soon as the body was discovered, CSI moved in and executed an exhaustive and meticulous search to recover all of Kaylee's remains from the thick, dense forest. You don't know where all the bones are at this point, because animals have definitely gotten to the body.
She was wrapped in a blanket inside of a garbage bag and had duct tape around her mouth and head. All 3 items were found to have come from the Anthony household. This urged the police to obviously view this case as a homicide. Police searched Casey's Pontiac Hellfire and reported a horrid smell that came from the vehicle as that correlating to a dead body. After exclusive investigation, it was concluded that 41 out of 424 compounds found within Casey's trunk were consistent with that of early stages of decomposition, and police also found a strand of Kaylee's hair inside of the trunk. This has led many skeptics to believe that Casey put her own deceased daughter's body inside of the trunk. Forensic analysis found shockingly high levels of chloroform in the trunk, and someone had access to the Anthony's computer and seen they had did a Google search for chloroform and spent time browsing the results. Her cellmate did an interview where she stated that Casey had admitted to using chloroform to knock out Kaylee so that she can go party.
Well, she said that she used to knock the baby out so she can go party. And she would put her to sleep, and then when she'll come back, the baby would still be asleep, and the next day she's awake. So that's how that came up.
Did she say what she used to knock her out?
I can't pronounce it. I can't pronounce it that well. Foam. I can't pronounce it. It's I don't know much about it, but I know it's some type of chemical. It's chloroform. I can't pronounce it.
She said that?
Yeah.
What did she say? Tell me more about that.
I know that how she did it was she would pour it on like a rag, like a wash rag, and put it over the baby's face. So she'll inhale it, and that will not.
On the last day that Kaylee was seen alive, June 16th, 2008, someone in the Anthony home did a Google search for foolproof suffocation, then appeared to read an article that discussed murder by poison and suffocation by smothering. Casey was indicted on October 14th, 2008. She faced first-degree murder, aggravated manslaughter of a child, and 4 counts of providing false information to police. She pled not guilty. Even though she was facing the death penalty if convicted, she was seen smiling in court on several occasions with her attorney, Jose Baez. How a person can smile after losing their child is beyond my understanding as a parent myself.
Yesterday, laughter. On Friday, tears and glares from a seemingly angry Casey during her brother's testimony on Thursday. Shortly after, a sick Casey had to be escorted out of the courtroom, and the judge extended a break to allow Casey to compose herself. In person, jurors have seen Casey's look evolve from conservative frilly shirts and sweaters to much more casual V-neck tops and jeans. While there's an enormous amount of evidence for the 12 jurors to process, they're also trying to process this, just what to make of the 25-year-old accused of killing her daughter.
When the jurors are looking up, they can't help but see her. They don't miss a trick.
And both sides are trying to present the Casey they want the jury to see. From the prosecution, a cold-hearted party girl who danced while her daughter was supposedly missing. From the defense, the image of a caring mother devastated by her child's loss. Throughout the trial, she's been wearing her emotions on her sleeve as every piece of evidence is presented. On Friday, when the prosecution showed an animation of Kaylee's face superimposed over a picture of her skull with duct tape over her nose and mouth,
Casey didn't take her eyes off that monitor. Once the jury came in, of course, she's looking away, and it's strategic.
Yesterday, those tears turned to laughter during a discussion about the difference between trash and garbage. But the same insect expert who made that distinction may have delivered a significant blow to Casey's defense. He testified that the type of insects on the paper towels that had been in the trunk of Casey's car are often associated with human decomposition.
This, along with the seemingly mountain of overwhelming evidence against Casey, many believed and still full-heartedly believe that she is guilty of the murder of her daughter. She showed a clear lack of remorse towards her child and the situation in general. She brought forth claims of SA at the hands of her father and brother, that they abused her as a kid, and this led her to, let's say, her misdevelopment as an adult. She also claimed that her own father was abusing Caylee, that he placed Caylee in the pool to cover up the fact that he was. But that doesn't make any sense because the evidence would still be there in some way. No evidence was ever found that abuse of her or Caylee occurred. Her father, George, attempted self-delete in 2009, which was later used against him in the trial by her. The defense's alternate scenario that Casey had drowned in the family pool and the supposed lack of evidence was grounds enough for an acquittal from the courts due to, quote, reasonable doubt. Which, I mean, yeah, we all have reasonable doubt to not murder our own freaking child. But some crazy motherfuckers do it, alright? Now, most of the jury, the entire world, and even the judge was surprised that the verdict came out not guilty due to the jury.
As to the charge of first-degree murder, verdict as to count 1, we, the jury, find the defendant not guilty, so say we all, dated at Orlando, Orange County, Florida, on this 5th day of July, 2011, signed foreperson. As to the charge of aggravated child abuse, verdict as to count 2, we, the jury, find the defendant not guilty, so say we all, dated at Orlando, Orange County, Florida, this 5th day of July, 2011, signed foreperson. As to the charge of aggravated manslaughter of a child, verdict as to count 3, we, the jury, find the defendant not guilty, so say we all, dated at Orlando, Orange County, Florida, this 5th day of July, 2011, signed foreperson. As to the charge of providing false information to a law enforcement officer, verdict as to count 4. We, the jury, find the defendant guilty of providing false information to a law enforcement officer as charged in the indictment.
After she beat the murder charge, Judge Belvin Perry Jr. charged Casey with 4 counts of lying to the police during a homicide investigation. She was sentenced to 4 years in jail. She already served 3 years in jail fighting the case, and only owed 10 days left on her sentence with credit for time served. She was released with no further time on July 17, 2011, and is still free to this day. Since her release from prison, she has been in trouble with the law 2 more times. Once in December 2018, where she ran a stop sign, she paid a fine of $264. In May 2021, police were called to a bar in West Palm Beach, Florida, where they encountered Casey involved in a verbal, near-physical altercation where a woman threw a drink on her. The woman's name was Thelma Moya. This altercation began over an ex-boyfriend of hers that they were both seeing. The fact that she's fighting over a man after losing her child is just crazy to me. I'm not knocking the strong parents who can lose one of their own and still move on and live, a somewhat normal life. In that situation, you're either going to be violent and pissed off 24/7, or you'll turn into a nun of some sorts and wishing nothing but peace and get the best out of life from all the little things. This woman is over here fighting over penis and down Coors Light after she killed her own daughter. Allegedly.
First time we're seeing body cam footage of cops responding to Casey Anthony's 911 call.
I'm still wet. I got a drink thrown at me. This girl has been harassing me for a while.
The woman in the fedora is Casey Anthony, the notorious mom who was acquitted 10 years ago for the murder of her daughter, Caylee.
We, the jury, find the defendant not guilty.
Now she's back in the news and in a familiar setting, a bar. She's telling a cop that the altercation at the bar in Florida was over a guy.
And why did she throw a drink at you? Like, what happened? I dated the same person for a couple years. Malcolm Allison, who was with your department, one of your sergeants.
That's right. The guy Casey says they were arguing over is a police sergeant in West Palm Beach.
Whether they're together or not together, she got upset that he had texted me. I let her know that he had, and she came inside and threw a drink at me. Do you know her name? Her name is Thelma Moya.
Casey and Thelma Moya were reportedly friends before they ended up in an altercation over the same guy.
I don't want to get him involved. He's my ex, he's her ex. That's why all of this happened.
The woman who allegedly threw a drink at Anthony was not charged. She says the argument was about much more than an ex-boyfriend, but she wouldn't elaborate.
As a side note, the fact that a police sergeant was openly dating a suspected baby killer, I don't know, man. Something just doesn't seem right to me. Casey just recently did a series with Peacock on her side of the story. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't even watch it because, well, I'll show a few clips. Nobody's falling for these fake-ass emotion and tears.
The only person in this world that matters to me still is my daughter. But I'm still defending the fact that I didn't hurt her.
Even though this woman is free, I pray she never feels truly free no matter where she goes. Rest in peace to Caylee.
These people are waving back, and you can kind of tell they're confused about why we're there. And so finally we turn down a hallway and it's a dead end. And at this point, Casey looks at us and says, I don't really work here.
Coleslaw today. Tell them I ate coleslaw.
Well, you probably eat a lot of things you never used to eat before because when you're hungry, you'll eat.
I hated bologna. I've been eating bologna and cheese on occasion. Grits. I don't do grits at all. It's terrible.
Well, you know what? You're going to eat what's in front of you.
I want you to know I want to take your pain away from you. So, you can tell me anything.
I know that, Dad.
I miss you, sweetie.
I know that. I miss you too.
I wish I could have been a better dad and better grandpa, you know?
You've been a great dad and you've been the best grandfather. Don't for a second think otherwise.
Well, you know,
you and Mom have been the best grandparents. Kaylee's been so lucky. Kaylee is so lucky to have both of you. You've